We need him.
As always.
I say we're just not getting out of time.
We're already live.
Yeah, why are we counting down silently?
Because he doesn't know how to count. He's trying to remember how to count.
I don't
That's
think
all
he
it
knows
is.
how to count, yeah. Maybe one day.
I'm chair dancing. Yeah. I'm excited.
It's the Villains Talk Show.
Are we the talk show, or are we?
Is it
really?
I thought we were heroes.
If you're listening on the podcast, hello and welcome. If you're listening live, hello and welcome. To everyone out there, wherever you're listening, hello and welcome.
And if you're on video, cheers.
Cheers.
We are the Villains of the Villains Talk Show. And we do 2-shot Sundays. And God, I used to be so much better at this. Why do I keep tripping this up?
You're just getting so old.
Because words are hard.
And tonight is Wednesday, unless you're listening on the podcast, then it's probably a Tuesday or Thursday. And tonight is podcast night, where we talk. Well, Today
is Thursday.
Talkcast. Tonight is Talkcast night.
Are you okay? Are you doing
I also weeks, like my intros have been horrible.
I don't think you're okay.
I feel like I'm gonna have to take the reins.
I am C4.
I'm also gonna say,
beside me is Sarah V. At the far end is Insanieac. Below him is the Great Grease Goblin. Hopefully, Sir Jeremy will join us soon. But may I introduce our special guest, the lovely, the astonishing, the gorgeous, the infallibly fabulous.
I'm blushing.
I forgot how to pronounce the name. Rujholla.
Rujholla. Rouge like the color red in French, and hola like hello
in Spanish.
Rujholla.
You're mixing languages here.
I know, saucy.
You're playing a dangerous game here.
Believe it or not, the name Rujholla actually means sister. That comes from a language from a fantasy series of books I read when I was like 13. And they very much stuck with me. And it's a great screen name because no one's ever seen it. And like on every platform, no one has it. So it's kind of stuck with me. So
the reason we have this wonderful lady on the podcast tonight is we're going to talk about a very demonetizable. Thank you. Demonetizable subject.
It's going to be a not safe for work stream for
everyone
out there.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. We are talking.
I agree.
We are talking about sex toys and staying fun and having fun in the bedroom because we are all adults here.
We are.
And
I don't know about Insanieac.
We've all had crappy sex ed, and I think there's other reasons. Sarah was the one who actually brought up the topic.
This is the best category that adults can remember that everyone wants to play. It doesn't matter how old you get. Everyone wants to play, and in the bedroom, with a partner. With a toy, with a feather, with just laughter. It's the best place for adults to remember the joy of play. So I'm super passionate about this topic and absolutely over the moon that you guys asked me to be on. So
why don't you let our listeners live and at home into why I asked you to join us, why I deemed it necessary to reach out my hand to bring you of all people I knew onto the show.
Well, I know this is going to be a little bit strange for both, listeners and viewers of your show, but I actually had a retail job that I liked. And this retail job was at an adult store. And I enjoyed it so much from all that it taught me. Yes, there was the same nightmare stuff that you have with every other retail job. But the other stuff that it taught me led to some pretty great stuff. And being in an environment where I could ask questions that normally there is no other venue where you can ask and not be judged. and not be poked fun of or laughed at or, tittered about.
Being
It
able to
was
freely
great.
kind of explore
I just
the options
imagine
in
like
mind.
young you sitting there behind the counter and seeing some old crusty guy bring up like Naughty Nurses 8, and you're like, so what do you really like about this? Because I've noticed you've gotten the other 7. Just sits there and looks at you and starts telling you like, well, story's actually pretty good. It's just I know I'm joking, but that would
I wouldn't
You never know.
necessarily ask customers a personal question like that. You still have to keep that respectable professional distance. But I would say number 9's coming out next month, just so you know.
see that's
And we have
just,
a couple copies coming in.
You can't like
Because if I
presume to,
noticed
like,
that he'd rented the other 7, I'm like,
we
number
can put
9's
that
coming.
on
It'll
reserve
be there
for
next
you.
month.
Yeah.
I liked my job.
Sometimes you don't want to like pry too much, I imagine, in that kind of industry. They might like get to kind of like some levels where people like might not always want to talk about it. Where there's some people that you feel like that, like yourself, where you used to talk to them, and they just start talking about all this stuff that you're like all ready to talk about.
I enjoyed trying to create an environment where I really wanted to get people to understand that they could ask me anything, that like there wasn't going to be anything to shock me. There wasn't like, that's not what that environment was.
Yeah,
I find that, if you have an environment in an adult store where you can ask questions, you can get guidance and that sort of stuff, I pretty much found in my experience, because I've been in lots of different adult stores since then, the staff are genuinely there to help you. And there really is nothing that's going to shock them. Like, they're very aware of where they work. And just like any other sales retail type job, the more you know your product, the better you are at talking to people about it.
It's not like Ardene's or Hot Topic that has like the one adult section at the very back that's just a bunch of joke toys with like a couple things and
some fuzzy handcuffs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I was telling C4 a story that my first husband and I were in Amsterdam. So, of course, one of the world's most famous red light districts. And I was so excited to go into the adult stores there, right? Because this was like my nirvana. And I walked in and I was so disappointed.
Wow. Nothing like meeting your heroes.
I started like pointing at things. I'm like, that comes in like 4 other colors. You know what? You don't need to buy this line. They use cheap leather. Here, let me get you the name of a better supplier. And my first husband was mortified. He slunk out the door, left me there. He was devastatingly mortified. But I was just so disappointed. I'm like, my tiny little adult store in the far north of Canada had better selection than the red light district in Amsterdam. What?
I feel that as like as a professional kind of like someone who pursues passion, kind of like like I'm a chef, not because I want to make a lot of money, because I enjoy being a cook. And nothing is more painful when you go to a restaurant and work in a place that you think is really good and high end, and you walk into this place and it's absolutely trash, and their food is absolutely shit, and they secondhand most of it. It's all resupplied, refired, and like stored in really crap conditions. And like I said, there's nothing quite like meeting your heroes to ruin your dreams in a sense, but it helps you reaffirm in a sense that you're doing a good job, which is kind of nice.
Well,
because there's not a lot of people that are like that.
Like Insanieac, as you said, there are certain things that when you discover your passion about them, that you're really invested in, they keep you engaged no matter how long you leave that. And then when you come back to it, you're just as enthused. When you find those things in your life, like hang on to them big time. And I've sort of discovered over the years that I'm very much a student of my own body. I've tried to always look at sex toys or experimentation or being sub-dom culture or other BDSM aspects. I've looked at all of it as I'm a student of how I tick. And only by trying other things maybe a couple times and with different partners, because that's a much different energy.
Yeah.
I'm going to find out what makes me tick. And what a better thing to be passionate about than finding out what makes you light up, especially in the bedroom. Because, I mean, right? What a better pursuit. I can't think of one.
So let's. Sorry,
I was gonna say I kind of have like a question, I guess, in the sense is.
Please fire away.
As someone that personally I'm gonna be honest because this is the topic of the latest section. I've never really been one to pursue that kind of interest of sex toys or, personally my interest doesn't really pertain to BDSM perhaps. So in the way of someone that didn't exactly have that same curiosity, can I ask you in the way that what drove you to kind of pursue that kind of option as that was something that you saw as a career, as a passion, as something that you wanted to do as something as an everyday kind of thing,
No, it was just a retail job that I needed at the time. And it just turned into me discovering that I actually had some fantastic advice, believe it or not, of all sources, my mother, who actually said to me, and this is not something that a lot of people hear from their parents, to be honest. She always told me, if you learn how your own body ticks in the bedroom, then you are better equipped to teach your partner what to do with your body to get you to the end zone.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true. Yeah.
To throw that touchdown pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, go sports ball.
And so literally Insanieac, it was a retail job that just sort of opened my eyes to, because for a huge part of my life, I honestly didn't see what the big deal about sex was.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Like it just didn't fire me up. It didn't light me up, that sort of thing. And it was a bit of a battle and a bit of me experimenting and trying lots of different things. Being with both sexes,
learning
trying multiple partners, like whatever opportunities presented themselves, I tried to be brave enough to just take advantage of them because I wanted to know what makes me tick, right?
See, now I wish that was the kind of thing they taught in high school and in junior high. Like, because when you grow up, you get the basic biology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all you get is you get the biology. This happens. This happens. This. If you stick this here, baby shoots out 9 months later, right?
Yeah.
Make sure to wear protection if you don't want diseases.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Maybe you got that. Not everyone gets
that. Not everyone. Not everyone got
that much. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get even anything.
Yeah.
It's
just that's fair. Not everybody has like a group of friends that they feel close enough with to bring up this topic, right? Like, because I happened to work at the adult store, it actually opened the doors for all of my friends to feel more comfortable either going shopping at an adult store with me or asking me a question. And I love that. I love that I can make them feel comfortable enough to ask me something.
Yeah, because it's an important part of life. Everyone, has that sexual side of nature through relationships with their partners or people that they meet in various relationships or experiences. Right?
It's so true. It's like
so important.
I always think back to that time in my life, and I always think back, like, thank God to late night sex talk with Dr. Drew. That 80-year-old woman taught me more about sex and more about myself.
Sue.
Dr. Sue, yes, thank you.
Episode with Sue.
Yeah.
Oh, she was fabulous.
That lady taught me more about my sex life. In a matter of fact, I actually saw her live at University of Victoria. Fantastic lady.
That'd be amazing.
But like, I learned more from her than I did from my parents. I did from watching TV. And everyone likes to knock like porn, especially like the over the top, overproduced porn that you see that comes out in the stores that like we were just talking about, where it's sequential, but at the same time, like the amount you actually learn, like the things you learn are more useful than what I learned in a goddamn classroom. Like,
not wrong
to some extent.
Oh, true.
To
some things are just impossible. Anyone out there?
I'm sure Sarah V and I have a slightly different perspective, being of a different gender than the rest of you.
So, I actually grew up in a Christian school. I got 0 sex ed, not even abstinence only, just nothing. It was like sex didn't exist, and they wanted it to be that way. When I got my first period, I thought I was dying because I had no idea what was happening. My mom attempted to explain like shedding from the uterus to me, but she didn't realize that nobody had ever taught me like what a vagina was.
What a uterus is.
Yeah, like she taught me what that was, but I was like, I don't understand. And it actually led to some real big problems for me.
Legit. I bet.
Yeah, no, like in grade 10, there was massive sexual harassment happening in my classroom with the boys in my class, and I had no way to tell anyone what was happening or what I was feeling, which was a huge problem. I actually don't remember huge chunks of that year because it got so bad that I just shut it out. But I really am very passionate about this topic and about making sure that people understand their own bodies and what's going on.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm ridiculously grateful to my high school biology teacher because he knew that we had never had any sex ed, and he really did a good job of covering that unit of bio just to make sure that we had an understanding of things like STDs and and like contraceptives.
Name of your
and all
body
of that.
parts are, right? Like what the medical name for your body parts are.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, a lot of it I did not know for a very long time because where was I going to learn it?
And a lot of parents just assume you learn it in school most of the time, right? And like I said, you don't learn shit in school most of the time.
I went to like the most public school. Like I went to the inner city public school of the city, and we still got barely any sex education. We actually spent more in, what was the name? I'm trying to remember the name of the damn class we learned.
Sex prevention was more when my
we
school
did have a great big unit. We had a great big like month-long unit on abortion and how awful that is.
I forget what it was called.
We had no explanation of how you get pregnant, just that if you are, you'd better not do anything about it.
We had a class that was dedicated to like home economics, sex ed, and all that stuff. But I kid you not, like of a 6-month class, more than 50% was dedicated to drugs. Such a small unit on sex, like maybe 2 weeks, and then like literally like 3 to 4 months of learning about each drug and its effect.
Sure that's kind of what the school that you
like,
went to.
And if anything, it made like it taught you like, oh, this is how meth is made, and this is why it's so bad. And I remember there'd be people in class.
I never got that class.
Who would be like, I'd look over at them and be like, I know what they're doing. They're writing down how to make meth because I know what they're going to do when they get home. Because you just gave them the blueprints.
I don't think I ever got a how to make drugs class. I really wish that
it wasn't. It was.
That would be a fun class. Yeah.
This is the chemical compound. This is what they put. This is what they cut with it. Blah blah blah. And it's like this is where they get it.
Sounds like the class of how to make drugs.
It was the most. It was the dumb. It was a scare you straight class kind of thing that all the kids had to do in the high school. But it was
that works out every
stupidly
time.
done that it would literally like tell you like the basics of what ingredients you would need. It's like
Well,
scared straight works out every time.
You guys experience firsthand that leads to, like you said, Seraphi, like, you don't even know what words to put to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's a huge gap. I agree with you.
Like, I don't feel safe, but I can't tell any adult why I don't feel safe.
This should be something that you learn at home. And if you're not learning it at home, then could we fill the gap with some education at school, since that's a learning institution? I get not having a class of how to go shopping at an adult store.
Yeah. But a class of, like, these are your body parts and these are how they work. That is a useful one to have.
Like, maybe telling boys that waking up after a wet dream is not something shameful. Like, it's just your body going through growing pains. This is not shameful.
I can actually say I actually never experienced a wet dream ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad for you.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad for you.
That was actually, that's where my mind went. A little sad for you.
Never happened.
I got lucky, though, with the sex ed thing. Because I started sex ed.
With a dream? I mean, I've had better dreams since then.
I started sex ed in, like, grade 7.
Yeah,
me too.
And I went to science school.
I think I started
that would have been kind of late for some things. Like I said, when I got my first period, I thought I was dying, and that was before grade 7.
Oh yeah,
I needed to know about that before then.
5.
There was like a small unit in like grade 6 as well, but that was it. But after that, every year we had like different, like more and more information.
I mean, I definitely learned, I guess, a lot more from like my situation at home. So more so because my parents had their own toys and things and books and information that back then was not what the internet was.
Did you find your mom's plum pickle
lightsaber?
I'm not about to explain my parents' situation because it's not my personal experience. Because I don't know on it, I can't speak on behalf of.
I'll be fair
in a way that isn't.
I'll make you laugh though. First time I've ever seen a toy in my life. We're
definitely my parents
cleaning out my grandma's apartment, and I'm 13. And my grandma, we're moving her to a retirement home, and
that's not something you want to
I'm helping my mom
with
the family.
Fantastic.
And we lift up the bed, and it rolls on the ground, and the thing was like this. And my dad nearly gagged, or he did gag. He left the room and gagged, and it took me.
Was it his mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took me a bit. It took me a bit to realize, but once my mind clicked, I honestly just threw my arms up and said, "Mom, I'm out. I'm going to the living room." And my mom,
I'm back in a different room.
Died laughing. My mom actually sat down. She couldn't help laughing so hard.
That's hysterical.
What do you do, right? Like
exactly.
We can't erase it out of our heads now. It's just there. But go, Grandma. I'm sorry, but you go, girl.
That's great, but just not something that you really want your family to find after. Not something that your family wants to find after. Maybe the other way around.
That's time to learn that everyone does it.
There's a movie called She's the One, and it's got a fairly sizable ensemble cast, and Jennifer Aniston plays the wife of a man where there is like no intimacy, very little sex in their life at all. And at one point during the movie, the husband finds her vibrator and he tries to shame her about it. And one of the lines is something along the lines of, "I should tell your mother what terrible things that you're up to." And she says, "Who do you think bought it for me?"
Yeah.
And she throws it right back in his face. Like she says, "Seriously, who do you think bought it for me?" And so she just shuts him down because he thinks his big threat is he's going to tell everybody in the family what she gets up to. And she's like, "Well, clearly you're not doing the job. So
Yeah, that would be more of a slant. If someone did that, that'd be more of a slight to yourself. This is what my wife uses because I'm inadequate. Wait.
I can't satisfy my wife, so she needs a toy.
But that's not entirely true.
Now,
I was gonna say that's not entirely true.
In defense of toys,
it can go both ways.
It can.
Yeah.
And also, let's be very realistic about this. Certain toys can do things that no human anatomy can do.
Fair enough.
This is not something that should take the place of your partner. This should be something that enhances time with your partner. Because if your partner has to be comfortable enough with the fact that they cannot do what that warm, lovely, vibrating thing is doing to a lady. You just can't.
You can't vibrate
or giant, awkwardly ribbed tentacles
for seconds.
Yeah,
exactly. Unless you have more appendages than the normal humanoid does, that can, lengthen at will and turn into, 17 joints in them. There are just some areas that you can't reach with only 2 hands. So why not take advantage of them?
That awkward is the story of telling your partner that there's just some things that you just can't do. I'm sorry.
But we can.
Well, how about have a conversation about? I really enjoy being with you for all of the stuff that entails. But let's face it, you can't stimulate my clit to the resonance that this toy can do and get me to orgasm in 45 seconds. That's not physically possible for you to move your tongue, finger, or any other appendage that fast.
And if it is,
then
calling Guinness. Calling Guinness.
better hold on for a wild ride.
We're calling LA because we found you a new job, honey.
But first, I'm putting a ring on it. That's mine. Mine, baby. All mine.
But it's going to make money for me.
$1 bills, y'all. Let's just have some fun with it. It'll be great.
It's not pimping. I'm married.
It's not pimping. It's a family business.
Exactly.
We're swingers. I like to watch.
Communal property at that point, no matter how the money.
I like to watch, and I just enjoy getting paid for it. Nothing is more climaxing when someone gives me $1 bill while I'm watching my husband getting,
How about 100?
Oh yes, that's just so much better.
We always write into his contracts. We write into his contracts that for every movie that he makes, I'm his props mistress. It's just so he can call me mistress out in public and nobody thinks anything of it.
Oh my god. Backdoor billionaires. I think we thought of it.
That hit me more than I thought I would.
So I was saying to everyone before we started the stream, I actually made talking point cards. Are we ready for the first one?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, hit us.
So I will read these out, obviously, for anybody who's just listening to the podcast and isn't actually watching the video. Oh, then they're backwards. Sorry. Be comfortable and safe.
Actually, you wrote them backwards, so they came out correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, my camera's showing me stuff backwards.
Are they not backwards on Twitch?
Nope, my camera's fine.
It's probably backwards on your webcam, but on Twitch, it's
on Twitch they're fine.
Twitch is fine too.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're good.
Comfortable and safe. The reason I wanted to bring this up first is to, sort of get some of the slightly more boring stuff out of the way first, shall we? I love to do a few talking points with people, whether they were coming into the adult store to talk to me, whether it's my friends that are like having me come with them to an adult store, whatever it is. I try to bring a few of the same talking points to them, which is what these cards are. is sort of some 4 pieces of advice that I kind of give to everybody. Because there's stuff that not a lot of people think about. And so when I say be comfortable and safe, that's not even just for yourself. I mean, for all parties involved. If you're bringing toys or tools or anything else into the bedroom to play and experiment and have fun with, you have to make sure some little basic stuff. Like if it's a toy that you're using on yourself, can you reach the controls when it's down there?
It's pretty important.
Because, for example, this one has all sorts of bells and dials and like crazy settings. But literally, unless, again, you've extended your arm another 5 inches and like triple jointed your elbows, you can't adjust those settings when it's in your privates.
Like break your ribs.
Once it's up in your genitalia, it's very hard to reach. So if this is a toy, though, however, that you really enjoy, when I say be comfortable and safe, find the right pillows to maybe lift your pelvis up a little bit so that you're at a slightly different angle and you can reach those controls a little easier. And if you are doing a motorized toy, something that either vibrates, rotates, anything along that nature, try to think of some simple stuff like, do you have carpal tunnel?
Oh, yeah.
Repetitive stress injuries, tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, pain in your shoulders.
I'm lost.
Those repetitive stress injuries will be highly irritated by the motor vibration from those toys, especially carpal tunnel and tennis elbow. The vibration from those, like if you ask someone who works on a construction job site who has to use power tools every day, their arms are throbbing by the end of the day if they have those repetitive stress injuries. So if you do have severe carpal tunnel or have had it in the past and it's very easily irritated, then maybe consider something that's more of a manual tool as opposed to a motorized. So when I say be comfortable and safe, it's not even just about, do you have a latex allergy? The kind of thing. So maybe don't get a latex dildo if you do. I mean the slightly less obvious stuff, right? Like, because C4 looked completely lost when I commented on like carpal tunnel and tennis elbow. You were like, "What? What do you mean?
I wasn't quite aware on the vibrations. Like I understand it once you explain it. Like it makes sense, but I didn't I wasn't aware of that thought process.
Yeah, I would never have thought of that. Carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
So do you have a repetitive stress injury? Is that something you need to take into account? Or does your partner have a repetitive stress injury? And is that something you guys need to consider and take into account? When you're playing with tools, toys, experimenting, how good is the soundproofing in the room that you're playing in?
Nothing's more
really? How good is the soundproofing?
It's an important question.
That really is, yeah.
Because that very much falls under the be comfortable category. If you are so paranoid about your neighbors, other people in the house, anyone being able to hear what you're doing, it's going to be very difficult to sort of be present in the moment and just let yourself enjoy it, if that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So how's the soundproofing? Maybe a few towels under the door and,
that doesn't work.
Maybe choose a different room or, something.
That works.
Like just
sometimes.
Just be aware, right? Like where are you playing with your partner? Right?
Don't fool yourself. The towels under the door is a lie.
That doesn't really work.
Never works.
It's all the walls.
Yeah.
Oh man, we've got one room. Actually, the room I'm in, the soundproofing in here is so bad. There's a room in the basement that just like the laundry room isn't even finished, so everything you hear, and it's just
If you are shopping at a sex store and they let you turn the motors of the toys on, some have demo toys that are like out of the boxes that you can actually like turn the dials, Obviously you can't apply it to your genitalia, but you can use it with your hands and so on and so forth. Yeah. And so one of the things you might want to consider is how loud is the motor? Right?
Yeah.
Is it this? Or is it this?
Yeah, or if it
Can
has
you guys hear the
even a
difference?
setting to change it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or if it even has a setting to adjust or something, right? If
how
it's just
loud
on
is
or
the
off.
motor? I have literally bought toys with quieter motors, not for what they would do to my body, but just so that I could keep the rest of my household from knowing that I was enjoying myself. So it's just something to consider.
Be a little more discreet.
And under that category of be comfortable and safe, before you actually play with your toys in any event, I know it's easy to get caught up in the moment, but you should still take a few seconds and inspect your toys. Like, has it been a while since you've used it? When's the last time you cleaned it?
Yeah.
How fresh are the batteries? Is the rubber or the latex on it cracked and dried out? So you shouldn't be putting stuff like that into or probably against your body because that's not hygienic or safe.
Sterilizing is key.
That's why you always have a bottle of
Yeah.
toy cleaner.
Keeping stuff clean is important for
You know
sure.
what? I have a whole category about cleaning, so we will get to that, I promise. But like when I was going through my toy box, this one I didn't realize I'd actually left batteries in it, and they've leaked, and so it's corroded the whole motor inside. So inspect your toys first, especially long before they get to skin contact of any kind.
Yeah, battery acid doesn't
it could go
sound
very
like...
badly.
Yeah.
Sound like a good time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or how about the
Like,
Battery
nothing's more
acid
awkward than a
not
Did you
hospital
check
ride
to
about,
see if
like,
the motor will turn on? Like, do you need new batteries? Like, that also falls under inspect your toys first. If you are using a motorized one, do you need fresh batteries? Like, are they done? So, and then sort of the last point I'll talk about in be comfortable and safe is if you're playing with a partner or partners and toys or tools are involved, make sure everyone is comfortable with everything that you're bringing into the room. There may be certain toys and tools that don't flip your switch that you don't want to have anything to do with it. But if your partner is really into them, experiment enough with them, or like in the case of something motorized, put it up against your skin into some very more delicate parts. Maybe not your primary sex organs, maybe some of your secondary ones, just to see what the sensation feels like on your body so that you have an idea of what it's doing to them. And I say that because it's a really good rule of thumb, no pun intended, to never, play with something with your partner that you don't know what it's doing to their body. Because that could mean that you're using the tool or toy or apparatus in a really poor way. And then can be very counterproductive for what you're trying to achieve, of course. So, like I said, just like the sound of the motor, how different does that feel for the different settings, like against your hand, against your neck, something like that? Have an idea, even if it's something that you're not interested in, know what it's doing to your body and maybe how to use it a little bit before you apply it to your partner. And that will make you a rock star, because then you're going to be very much more aware of what it's doing to them. Whether or not it gives you pleasure or not, it's just still a great idea to know how to use a tool, even if it's something you don't want to play with. So,
yeah, makes sense.
Definitely have
Yeah,
had
that
those.
seems like...
Sorry, I'll let you go first.
No, I was just gonna say that seems like really great advice and wisdom.
Oh yeah, I totally wish I had that wisdom growing up, because there's definitely been many times where something has happened where all of a sudden everything gets awkward for a couple minutes. It's like, yeah, so we're not doing that again.
you know what? And And those are going to happen even if you've played with that toy before, right? Like, let's be real. Having sex can be really silly. Bodies make weird noises. Somebody leans on your hair, like you try out satin sheets and you slip off the bed and like a slip and slide and you like crack your head on the wall.
It's so true. No one
totally
says
done
that.
that. Totally done that.
Oh my god, satin sheets are the worst.
So dangerous. They're so dangerous.
So bad. It's like you're fight, and especially when you have more than another person in that bed. It's like you're not just trying to stay in the bed. You're fighting with the sheets to stay on the bed. I hate satin so bad.
I'd much rather give me plain cotton. Just give me a really beautifully high thread count so that they're like silky like butter.
Oh, but they're so hard to wash and they'll smell bad for weeks.
No. Just they will wash like a dream. I promise you. It's one of the things that I don't mind like spending money on. On most other stuff in my house, I don't care if it's a 99-cent bath towel or anything else in the house. But sheets, I will spend a little more money than normal on if it's a great thread count and they feel just amazing. Because the more you wash them, the softer they get, and they're just Anyway, so give me a great pair of cotton sheets before satin, because as C4 was like, they're like, oh my god, they're so dangerous.
So bad. So it's like a warrior.
Make sure you're both comfortable. Is there enough pillows? Because if you want to lift up some body parts but not have to hold them up, then make sure you've got enough pillows around and all of that great stuff.
Or a great pulley system works too.
Yes,
pulleys work really well.
But have you played with the pulley system? Well, fully dressed before things get, like you said, where you lead to that really awkward moment. Like, I don't remember how to release that.
Or like, oh no, this should hold your weight.
For an hour.
Yeah. So, point number 1: be comfortable and safe. So that involves like lots of different stuff. All right, we ready for number 2?
Yes.
All right. Consider cleaning. When you are bringing toys, apparatus, tools, anything that you're going to play with, including satin sheets.
I was going to say
and high thread count sheets.
That could also double for body parts.
Yes. Yep. That's where my brain went right away.
Make sure you clean body parts.
Consider cleaning. Right?
Like all the body parts that are going to be involved.
Believe it or not, a lot of toys,
more of them,
because of newer plastics and polymers that a lot of the newer toys are made out of, because so many of them have moved away from latex completely. And a lot of these new latexes, rubbers, and polymers are actually dishwasher safe.
Yeah, they are.
So when I say consider cleaning, also consider how to make it easy to clean your stuff. And like Insanieac, no. Who said? Oh, Greasy Boy was saying, make sure you have wipes. I 100% agree.
I have a bottle of it.
To a point. I will use baby wipes if it's a toy that I just want to kind of take off the worst of the mess and clean myself up really quick, if we're going to keep playing. So there's usually baby wipes around this house. I use them in crafting. I use them to remove makeup. They're like all over this house. But they're not expensive, and they don't like for a woman's body, they don't wreck the pH around a woman's vagina, so you can clean yourself up super quick and easy. They're easy peasy. If I'm fully cleaning a toy before it goes back into the toy box, before it goes, back to wherever I'm storing them, believe it or not, are handy dandy Lysol wipes or something else, because it'll break down the skin oils, the actual like sloughed off skin, the any bodily fluids that come out.
You're just talking about regular
like a dream.
disinfecting wipes, right? disinfecting wipes.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I always say if it's safe and gentle and cleansing for your genitals, then it's completely fine to use on your toys too. So if what you have is soapy water in a sink and you've washed your hands and you wash your toy too, that's beautiful. My only recommendation though is to just make sure you dry them very well. These are a lot of them, if it's the super pliable sort of materials, you can wash them really great, but try and find yourself like paper towels that don't leave fibers. Like blue shop towels are one of them, or a chamois or microfiber cloth. Something, dry them off very well. Leaving water on some toys that are really flexible and squishy like this can sometimes erode them and put little pock marks in it. And same with the cleansers. So like if I'm doing a big clean at the end of a really intense play session or something, then I will grab my disinfecting wipes, wipe stuff down really quick, run it under some soapy water in the sink, and then just take a quick paper towel, dry them off, done. Really doesn't take long. And that's somebody speaking from who's a very limited energy window. If I'm saying it doesn't take very long and I still have time to do it, anyone able-bodied can totally do this. It does not take a lot of time. And it means like some of my toys I have truly had over 10 years just because I took care of them and they still do the job. So like, why not? Why wouldn't I keep using them? Why wouldn't I keep them, right? So remember, some pieces are dishwasher safe. Gentle soap and water absolutely does the trick. And wipes are also a great standby as well. And then a lot of companies, if you go onto their websites after you purchase a toy, will actually give you cleaning instructions or recommendations. So
what I've seen is some of the things that I've gotten have actually come with like the cleaning instructions in the box.
In the box, yep. Some of them do. I found the websites are a little bit more comprehensive because I have seen those cleaning instructions in there as well. I just find that there's a little more information and, you know, everyone's favorite tool, YouTube it.
Yeah. I personally really enjoy this brand right here, though. Really useful.
Oh, Toy Cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay, which brand is that? Greasy Boy.
Calisthenics.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that one, but now absolutely you can buy a separate product, but all of us have got hand soap.
Oh,
right? And in the days of our pandemic, pretty much all of us have got some kind of antiseptic cleaner in our house. Be very careful though about alcohol wipes or any alcohol sprays or hand sanitizer. The alcohol in it will very much dry out and crack certain polymers and rubbers. So if you were going to use those, that's great. But I would just really rinse them off and dry them very well after, to try and keep that alcohol from like staying on the surface and again, potentially eroding some of those materials. So yeah.
A former partner of mine actually stored their toys too close together and they just melted.
Yeah.
It sucks because those were like $400 between the two of them.
Yep. Ooh. So hence point number 3, consider storage. For exactly that reason. If security for your toys is something you're concerned about, do you not want to have them roll out of a mattress and traumatize your family?
What? That's the best part, though.
Do you not do you share a house with other people that you wouldn't necessarily want them knowing, you know, where your toys are or how to get to them?
That you never know where they're going to look when they're here.
Yeah. Nosy friends, whatever.
Yeah.
So the security of your toys, you can literally purchase toy boxes with locks on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I used
companies
to have
that make
my
sex
ex-toy.
toys also make toy boxes, and some of them will either have like a dial combination lock or hinges that you can put a padlock through if you want. So the security of your toys is something to consider. And just like Greasy Boy was saying, the temperature, the humidity, all of that stuff, if you leave certain polymers and plastics together in an ambient temperature house, or if it gets really warm in that bedroom, perchance, if that's where you're keeping them, they can melt together. They can, the batteries can melt through the motors. So it's a really, really important to think about that when you're storing it, not only about security, temperature, and humidity. If it's a toy that you don't use very often, please take the batteries out. Like, please, please, please take the batteries out of it. I can't stress that enough. Don't, as you said, Greasy Boy, like lose hundreds of dollars, because some toys are a pretty big investment. For something as simple as if I'd taken the batteries out, it wouldn't have been an issue. So yeah, that's just something also to consider, is consider storage. Where are you going to keep them? How handy do you want them to be, right? Like, if you're one of those very impulsive lovers, do you want them to be able to grab them right away? So you need to consider where they're located in the room that you play the most in, and how to get at them, and conversely, how to keep other people that you don't want playing with them away from them. So just something to think about.
I've heard so many horror stories of parents finding their kids waving around their toys, like it's a lightsaber or something else.
Yeah, safe
Mommy,
storage.
look, I'm a unicorn.
Yeah.
I found my parents. So that's kind of how I learned about a little bit more about it. So.
Oh.
But that added to my knowledge, I guess, because I didn't know about the things that they knew about. Because I only went to school and I was in grade 5 and 4 around the time when they were doing sex education, but it was very basic. I got more of it later when I went into junior high, but in like elementary school, it's literally just trying to understand your body. That was it.
Yeah.
My parents were pretty vanilla. Most of the sex ed I got before I turned 13 was from my grandmother. My French grandmother, who would just talk about sleeping with men all the time to me and my sisters. Told us never to get married, never start dating, just be single until we died.
I guess I got lucky since my parents actually had a book called The Ultimate Sex Guide, and it was literally like a book with diagrams and everything, like, so pretty easy to learn from that.
My brother and I were talking a couple years ago and discovered that neither of us ever, from what we can tell, neither of us ever even got close to catching our parents doing anything. So it was interesting information to have.
Yeah, I had a mom who, have a mom. I apologize for the past tense. I don't know where that came from. I have a mom who's been married 5 times, had lots of boyfriends. So, I very much had the cool mom, and so my friends not only felt comfortable talking to me about things, but like they would come over for dinner, and my mom and I were having like very frank and very open discussions about, the pros and cons of an IUD at the dinner table. And my friends' jaws were down to here, because they were not only horrified that I would even admit to my mother that I was thinking about birth control and therefore thinking about being sexually active, but that I could talk to her about it at the dinner table, and this wasn't weird.
Awesome.
It should be like that.
And she would always say to my friends, if you can't go to a trusted adult who has your best interests at heart, and whether that's a school counselor, she's like, or me, or a trusted aunt or uncle, or like anyone, because if you don't want to go to your parents, that's legit. But there are other adults in your life that you can ask these questions to, who will have your best interests at heart. So go and ask them, because please don't like get awful information from your friends who think that they've, heard about something or other. Because, of course, the days long before you could YouTube anything.
I guess, yeah. Ain't that the truth?
But even so, there's so much misinformation out there that it's hard to filter, right? It's so hard to know what's legit. And so, like I said, I'm lucky enough. I had the cool mom. I had the one who said, you don't have to talk to me about it, but please talk to an adult somewhere, right? Who's going to give you correct information, or at least where to look, so that I know that you're being safe. And again, she gave me that great piece of advice, is that the more you learn your own body, she's like, if you become an expert at masturbating, you're going to be amazing as a lover, because you're going to be able to teach your partner what to do to flip your switch, right? Because everyone's different. And so, like, I've always enjoyed different types of toys, because to me, what's the ultimate goal? Right. So I'm kind of doing this to segue. Features are entirely dependent on what you want to achieve. Because I saw dozens and dozens of people individually and as couples. They would walk into the store, they'd go to the toy section, and then they'd just stare
Too many
at
options.
the wall. Sometimes you'd get, what is that?
I can imagine that one. I probably like. I've had that one walking past the sex shop through the window.
I've seen that a couple times as a shopper.
Or my personal favorite, where does that even go? And they're kind of doing this a little.
For me, it was like,
which would be my cue to say, are you being rhetorical, or would you like to see a video? Because genuinely, like, we had so many movies, and I could say these two movies here actually show that toy being used. So if you're being rhetorical, I can answer you. If you would actually genuinely like to see it being played with, you might want to rent these and decide if that's for you. Because what are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to achieve an orgasm? I know that sounds like a really simple question, but people use toys for lots of different reasons that really have nothing to do with orgasms a lot of times. And if you are looking to just receive an orgasm from a toy or a tool, are you doing it for medical reasons? Like, do you have a skull-splitting migraine, and so you need all of the blood to get out of your head and go down to your genitals really quick so that you can get rid of that migraine? Are you so stuffed up from a cold that you need to clear your sinuses, and this is the funnest way to clear those babies out? Do you
Does that actually
want to relieve?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, big time. Fantastic way to clear your
that.
sinuses. Yep. Big time. Big time.
That's
Do you
good
want some
information to
cardio?
have.
Do you want more cardio in your day-to-day life? So do you want to get your heart rate up and to breathe heavy? Right? Do you want to relieve some anxiety because you are so wound up and you have such a busy brain, you cannot sleep? So not only are you playing with a toy to achieve an orgasm, but are you using that orgasm for a different reason? So do you want, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Like, I want to get off in 20 seconds or less, bada bing, bada boom. Or in the case of like more cardio or relieving anxiety, do you want it to last a little longer so that you can really kind of let that tension go? You can really sort of kind of get into it and take your mind to another place. So the features that your toy is going to have, whether it's got all the dials and buttons like that other one I showed you guys, is it angled to hit a G spot? Is it angled to simulate something else? Like the end on this one, and I don't know how to describe it for those that are just listening. But
it looks
sort of
like
does...
a mini shoe.
Yeah.
Looks like
it's sort of
almost like
it's
an
sort of like
upside
a
down
curved
boot.
finger. It's sort of a curved finger.
That's probably a better way to
But
describe
it's nice and wide, and then this silver part is the actual motor in there that will vibrate. And you can actually buy just these little silver bullets that they call them.
Yeah.
And they're a great little size, so they are a very versatile sort of little tool. So this particular angle on a woman can be used to find that amazing G spot. The nose is flexible enough that if you just rubbed it on a clitoris, it feels a lot like a tongue. So same thing, if you are the kind of person that really enjoys a tongue around your anal sphincter, again, this feels a lot like a tongue. And that is very enjoyable. This would be a great sort of size and flexibility on a man's perineum. For anybody who doesn't know that spot, it's that tiny strip of flesh between the base of your testicular sac right before the opening to your anal sphincter. So it's
the gooch! The gooch!
The taint.
The gooch!
The in-between us. The good old in-between us.
The taint.
The
There's a
gooch!
taint your balls and a taint your butthole. But it's actually in medical terms. So there you go, Sarah V. You're learning a new medical term, is perineum. So
I actually already knew that. So.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean,
you didn't learn that in school, right? So this would again be a really great sort of size, and then that flexibility, because that skin is really sensitive. So you'd want to be careful with any toys that were a little bit of a harder material, or even had kind of edges to them. You'd want to be really careful around that. So when I say features are entirely dependent on what you're after, there's lots of considerations. Just like sometimes you're in the mood to just get really fucked, like up against a wall. I don't even want to know your last name. Scream it to the heavens. Yeah. And sometimes you just want to play, and it's not even about coitus in any way. So just like there are different moods for your body, what are you hoping to achieve from your toy? Right? Do you...
So I kind of have like a question.
Oh, yes. Fire away.
I'm not too sure if you would kind of have the same outlook of the way that I'm probably going to phrase it. Because for me, I've seen some weird ones. What would you describe as probably the most ridiculous kind of one you've seen? Because probably the most one that I've seen is quite literally been like a chainsaw dildo, like a giant big on a giant engine.
Yep.
That was like, and as a 16-year-old, that blew my mind.
So I've seen one a step up from the chainsaw motor, and it was truly a pull start generator on the floor.
Ooh, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Best one.
It literally looked like someone had taken a jackhammer that they break up concrete with and put a toy on the end of it. And to me, that's not, again, no judgment, but that is going to lead you to really walk a very fine line between pain and pleasure. Like, you better seriously know how to use that, because you could break someone's pelvic bone with that.
Like, yeah, you'd have to be
quite literally. You might not be able to walk a lot of lines anymore afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not. So again, that's not a judgment statement. I'm just saying that if you are the kind of person that enjoys walking that line, because I definitely know people that really love that mix, that, under normal circumstances, this would really hurt them, but in the right circumstances, it absolutely flips their switch. All the power to you, whether that's a generator on the floor, a chainsaw engine. I don't even know if they make this model of dildo anymore, but the name of it was His Majesty the King.
Oh boy.
And it was about 5 inches wide and about 18 inches long, and it
5
had
inches wide, like diameter,
in diameter.
Yeah, I've seen one like that.
Yeah,
That's like
when I went
that's like the
to
size of a child's head.
Sarah, when I went to the erotic museum in Denmark, I have pictures of it. They had one of those, and then beside it, there's one bigger you can get from Germany, and they're called the Ramboners. It's the name of the product. These things are 20 inches by 18, so it's fatter than it is long. It uses 20 D-cell batteries. And you can order them from the erotic museum. And I remember talking to the tour guide, and they say they sell 4 of them a year. And I was like, "Wow, that's impressive."
That's honestly impressive. Yeah.
Are you ready for my geek knowledge?
Yeah, go for it.
If you choose to play with toys that are that big, I highly recommend a lot of the toys that size. If you contact the company, they will also set you up with a stand so that it's something that you could place on a hard surface.
Just to show off to your friends?
Well, or so you don't have to use it with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, because trying to navigate something that large with human hands, when
it's
the
literally
person
the size of you. How do you
that tool and that plaything is really going to have to concentrate on trying to let all those muscles go, can sometimes be super problematic. But if it is something you want to play with, sometimes it's a little bit easier to mount it onto a hard surface like a floor and just crouch over it. And whether that's vaginal, anal, whatever hole you choose to put it in, you can focus on just relaxing those muscles and taking in that toy, and then take it off the stand and maybe play with your partner. Or maybe you're just going to boogie down and do a totally different style of pole dancing at that point.
Oh my goodness!
So
I really want to call this to what C4 is about to bring up here, because my mind is blown what he just put into the chat.
Ishpek told me to search up your husband, Rujholla, told me to search up these things called.
I've heard of Bad Dragon before, but this one
told me to search up Bad Dragon. So I looked up, and the first thing, and I posted the link in the chat.
The first one you just shared.
Viewer discretion is advised. But I need you to look at it, Rujholla. I posted in the Discord so you can look at what I saw.
So I'd like to describe this for people that are
this is interesting.
What C4 has, and this is a product line. They have other ones. So but in the way of the description of this one, just to describe it, they're very oddly descript most of the time. If you look at Bad Dragon's products, this one is, I don't know the proper name. I'm gonna be honest with what these things are called.
Sandworm of Dune.
I've heard. Well, I meant in the way of what the toy is called. I've heard them called Ono holes, but I don't actually know what it's called.
A fleshlight.
A fleshlight. That is another thing.
Again, fleshlight is a brand name, so similar to like Kleenex to facial tissue kind of thing. Honestly, when you're ordering them for a store, they're just masturbating sleeves.
Oh, good to know.
There you go. That sounds about right. Anyways, this thing visually is quite literally, if anyone has ever seen either Star Wars or Tremors, this would probably be best described as the Sarlacc pit that Boba Fett falls into without a lot of other tentacles, which I'm sure you could probably find a way to probably apply for those. But it more aptly looks like the Tremors monster, if you've ever seen that movie. Where
now
it's
see
like
the little fingers in the actual entry point of the sleeve, where the penis would go in. If those little fingers are really flexible, like a polymer that is more that has a lot of give to it, and especially the ones that get softer with body heat, that could be crazy fun. That could be really crazy fun.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Right?
I've never.
Thank you, Ishpek, for drawing my attention to that. That will invade my nightmares later tonight for sure.
Yet again, suppressed and
maybe
surprised
you can have
by
even
Bad
more
Dragon
nightmares.
You should quite literally, if you haven't seen their dildos, they're quite literally dragon penises. They're interesting.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. It's just the plain matter of fact monotone voice that you just used to deliver that in all seriousness.
And you know what's the funniest thing? I've actually heard of Bad Dragon back when I was probably 17 on watching my favorite gaming YouTuber, and someone also put in his chat to check out Bad Dragon, and he decided to share it from his thing and reacted to this live, and I'm just enjoying the surreal moment of how this has come back around in my life right now.
It's full circle. You'll be working there at some point in your life.
I honestly didn't ever think that, this would reapply.
Well,
so
I didn't think that this would be prior to all just come back to the future. Oh my goodness.
So I was laughing a little bit with everyone here at the Villains Talk Show because I was saying, like, it looks a little bit like a small adult store has thrown up all over my desk. Because I just sort of wanted to play a little show and tell, which is strange for adult toys, but
oh, please do.
It's kind of the theme.
I want to know what your favorite is.
So this one, which is unfortunately the one I left the batteries in, so this is going to have to go and be disposed of later, is just a plain plastic vibrator with a sleeve that's been slid on top to give it more texture and a bit more of the softness, because a lot of the new polymers and sort of rubber type feelings, like I said, get softer and more pliable with body heat. So the moisture and body heat from most of us when we're playing with these actually make them feel more flesh-like. So if you have a toy and it's really like it feels the material's too hard or that sort of thing, don't necessarily give up on it. Just see if you can find a sleeve to go over top. And this is also a slightly easier on the budget type of scenario, because you can get just a plain plastic, ordinary bullet style vibrator, but find a really great sleeve to go over top. And then that's a little bit easier on the budget as far as like getting a really great toy. So again, this one is the one that we were talking about before that's really quite angled. So two little motors in it. So it will vibrate closer to the tip and down at the base. What a lot of women forget is it's only about the first 2 inches in our vaginal opening where a huge majority of our nerve endings are. So it's really just that first little part that we want to stimulate. So only going this far, and I should probably describe this to our people that are just listening. So only going that 2 inches down any given toy is really right to where that little silver bullet is in the tip of your toy is going to get the job done, because that's where all the nerve endings are. No, not all, but a huge chunk of them. So that'll do it. It doesn't have to be fancy. But again, like I said, my last talking point was, what are you trying to achieve, right? Like, do you just want a quick orgasm just so you can fall asleep better? Do you want to play with your partner? Are you looking to try and time your orgasms so that you can both orgasm together, you and your partner? So really that'll depict. It is, for sure.
It's really hard to do.
But if you know your body really well, and if you know your toys fairly well from playing with them, like I'm one of those people that can look in my toy box and say, okay, so I want this to last so long, so I'm going to play with this one, because I know this one takes a little more effort to get me to an orgasm.
I think too, there's an advantage to I've been married for 8 years, since I was 18, and I think there's a huge advantage to that too, in that we just know, I mean, at this point we know each other's bodies pretty well. we know
Yeah.
what's gonna work and what's not, and I think that helps with that kind of thing too. So
Yeah. And then are you craving a specific type of orgasm? Because women can get different types of orgasms depending on which body part you're stimulating, right? I really enjoy a very simple clitoral stimulator. So it's a tiny little button that you wear on your finger with a little battery pack that goes around your wrist.
oh,
And it's
that's
tiny
neat.
enough and slender enough because the profile is not very big that in the middle of coitus you can move your finger in between each other or reach around behind your partner if you want to do any perineum stimulation for, a male partner that's with you, if you want to do any type of anal stimulation for any gender person who's with you. It's tiny and slim, it's light, and you can keep it on through your whole play. Use it on secondary sex organs, use it on nipples, on necks, on tongues. So something, again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be very simple. And, the versatility of it is only limited by your imagination and curiosity and, oh, let's see how this feels, right? And, Sarah, you and your husband have that incredible bond of, like you said, you know each other's bodies very, very well and are also feeling safe and comfortable enough with each other that you can introduce so many other things and feel so much freer about it because you're with someone you can trust and play with, right? That feels so great when you find someone that you can just play
ask
with.
questions and see what each other is interested in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorites. I know this is super boring, but one of the reasons it's my favorite, it's incredibly light. It's very quiet. I can put this into my carry-on, into my toiletry bag, and it's not even as obtrusive as my motorized toothbrush. So I've taken this on an airplane plenty of times. No one thinks anything of it because it just looks like a cigar container. It's a tiny little thin tube.
Nice.
It's light, it's waterproof, and it's quiet. So traveling, this is fantastic. It's about the diameter of a typical finger. So if I really just want a quick clitoral orgasm, I can just crank the motor up because it's got a few settings on it. Kind of do it, and again, get that 20-second burst. If that's just all I'm looking for, right? Like, again, I just want to fall asleep better or get rid of a headache or something, right? Like this, it isn't really about pleasure. It isn't really about like enjoying myself. I just kind of want to get to the tail end of this, be done.
Gotta get it out of the way.
And this is my favorite for if I just want to play. So again, it's just a really basic, again, waterproof. This is what
all toys would
be you would buy in the store.
Yeah,
They're really not. They're really not.
Yeah, now that you say it, like I'm thinking about it, like wow, like you'd think they'd all be like waterproof or.
It's an aspect that I really enjoy because I gotta say, like playing in a shower just seems very, very natural. You're already naked. You're already slick with soap. You're already rubbing yourself down anyway. It's very easy for that to turn into play. Why not have more toys that are waterproof? But it is something that's very much
that's
to
something
consider.
that I enjoy when I with my partners as well.
Yeah.
Usually in the shower is probably like it's your time when you're close with somebody, right? Really, like,
yeah,
in that
for
moment.
sure. Yeah. So again, that comes back to that first point of be comfortable and safe, right? Like,
safe, yeah, because the shower you could slip and fall and really fucking hurt yourself.
Yeah,
I was actually that's very true. But I was actually more thinking of make sure the toys that you're playing with in the shower are waterproof. because that falls under the be safe category, right?
Yeah,
It may only have, one AAA battery, but it's still an electronic device. So let's not put it in water.
It's a shocking experience.
Ooh.
Ooh.
In a very bad way.
Some people are into that.
Maybe.
Again, no judgment. You just have to be
Exactly.
very, very careful that it doesn't go from titillating to, oh my God, let's call 911.
Yeah. Electric shock treatment is if you're enjoyment, make sure you're practicing with chargers that are safe, that are not conductive to, shutting down your matal organs. That is kind of important to keeping your body alive.
Just remember, toaster should be used for bread.
Yeah. There's a reason that your heart runs on a completely separate electrical current from the rest of your body. It's because without your ticker ticking, the rest of it doesn't matter. So, so this blue part here is just the toy as it was. And again, this is the style of sleeve that I bought on top. The little bunny ears that are on the top.
Oh, it's a bunny.
It's a bunny.
As soon as you said it, I saw
that makes sense. Yeah, it's like I didn't get it right away, but now
as soon as you said it, I
got a little knobby tail.
I got it. It's a bunny.
Tell that none of you are female.
No shit.
So they make sleeves like this in a myriad of shapes. I've seen every zoo animal there is.
I was going to ask if it was a Playboy brand. Because
no,
I thought it was a bunny, right? You anticipate.
Pretty common.
It actually had a few of them. It had a butterfly in it, and a few that were just some very basic shapes, just bulbous and different angles, that kind of stuff. This one very much became my favorite. The rest of them unfortunately dried out. I didn't store them well. So again, consider storage. So the little bunny ears on the end of this one are really lovely. I enjoy using this one for play because it feels very much like having manual stimulation by fingers on my vagina. So since it feels so much like fingers, it's great to play with this, especially with a partner, because their hands can be doing other things too. So like a lot of bringing toys in to play with your partner isn't about competition. Sometimes it's about freeing you up to do other things, right? That you want to do. And so it sort of breaks my heart a little when I hear partners feeling threatened by toys. That's really heartbreaking for me, and I want
trying to take our jobs.
It's kind of silly, yeah.
That's right.
They take our jobs.
I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm sure you'll say, and anyone will say, that nothing replaces the real thing. Toys are meant to enhance.
Nope. A toy doesn't give me that beautiful weight on you when you are both so spent from so many orgasms and so much play that you can hardly move. A toy doesn't give you that.
You have energy, or when you're being intimate with someone that you genuinely are trying to share a moment with, right?
Or you can have that silly moment of, I may not move again. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I still can't move my legs.
I hate to kind of wind it down, but we have gone a half hour over what we usually do. We've had so much fun. So,
I'm so sorry.
No.
No, not at all.
Is there anything we want to ask Rujholla before she? Anything else? Is there anything you want to say, Rujholla, before I close up the show?
Guys, thank you so much. I love opening up a dialogue with people and trying to sort of break down those stigmas and really open people up to, like I said, not being threatened by these. Just play, experiment, and learn yourselves in your own body to the point that you can make the play with your partner or partners just so much better, because you'll be able to be the expert on your own body.
I've got a question right along those lines. Do you have any good tips for how to talk to very conservative Christians about the fact that maybe it's not evil to use toys.
Or to masturbate in general, honestly.
Um, honestly, I would say to sort of like my last talking point of what are you trying to achieve, right? Like if you know a friend and their partner are struggling with, say, conceiving, then some of the ways that you can make your body more receptive to sperm is to have the woman masturbate first and get everything so ready, then you can approach it that way. Are they more looking for the fact that maybe she's had a hysterectomy and so vaginal dryness, lack of hormones, all sorts of stuff, or menopause sometimes can completely take away your sex drive? So
Yeah.
are they
Even
going to
like,
bring toys into the bedroom so that they can still play together, but maybe, you know, the woman in the equation just doesn't want anything to do with coitus, but still wants intimacy and play with her partner? So maybe that's the kind of toy that they could explore. So again, I would
on like a
say,
male side, there's like males have weak sperm. There's like ways to get like
yeah,
direct kind of
Yeah.
applications, I guess, in that regard.
I know a lot of
so
people who are along the lines of masturbation is evil and you should never do it and all of that. So it makes it
and
difficult to ever talk to anyone about anything.
and you know what? There's going to be social stigmas that people have grown up with and have had different experiences. You can't really counteract that just with one great shopping trip and them feeling
Yeah.
comfortable talking to you about this.
That's true.
So all I would say in that case is to just keep reinforcing over and over that if they do have questions and if they do ever want to talk about how really okay it is, that you're there
I think also on
anytime.
that lines of like, yeah, being comfortable and safe, like you brought back earlier, like being able to
Yeah.
be there for that person, and kind of showing the fact that like it would be better off to masturbate in a health and safe way instead of hurting yourself and then feeling foolish or embarrassed or coming
Yeah.
to somebody that you felt like you broke some social taboo and now you hurt yourself and now you can't talk to somebody about the fact that you're hurt about
I
this
was
now,
gonna say
right?
that
And serious pain.
I would say like I would say also like basically the same thing. Like with something like that, you know that when people are taught that, it always comes from a place of scared, of fear, and lack of knowledge. And you
And
can't
body shaming.
and exactly, and
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
fight that. You can't fight that usually with just being outright. You have to the best way to enlighten someone is just with knowledge and being open and showing that there is, because like it's the same thing talking with someone who's been in an abusive relationship. You just have to show like you can't force them, but you have to be able to say like this is okay, I'm okay with this. And it's sometimes slow, but eventually, like, you know, people will open up. Everyone has their own little deep dark little sexual thoughts that eventually it just takes time to unbury those gravestones.
And
Yeah.
that urge to be yourself and be free and expressive, even in that sexual way, right? Everyone
Although a
wants
good
to
way
be
to
able
do
Yeah.
it, Sarah, is, you know, get a giant decorative dildo tentacle and just put it on your coffee table and put
or
flowers in
like
it so no one sees it, and and when
or
someone finally notices, be like, yeah, that's my toy. I leave it
or
there so
Oh
I
my
just get one of
normalize
those
it for
giant like
everyone.
go get like a ramrod and put it on the
No.
statue at the crucifixion. That would be perfect. One of the giant ramrods.
That's more of a Catholic thing, but
I don't know my religion. I'm gonna be honest. Insaniac.
yeah. So the
Serious.
other problem,
I
I
mean,
suppose, that the
there's
thing I worry about more than like how to talk to other people about problems they might be having is, I guess, I'm a person who worries a lot about what other people think about me, so I worry about people being judgmental, but because they are, but Yeah.
But it's a reflection of themselves. I'll say that too. You know, if people are judging you, it is because they're insecure in their own sexual adventures or lack of there. To be honest.
Yeah.
Again, I would just say yes. Of course, that I can't speak to what lives in your head for sure. But I think, like with a friend who really knows you have their back, being able to come at it from a perspective, if you as your friend are sensing where some of their maybe issues are or something that they could use some help with, if you just come at it from that, safe, comfortable, friend love kind of place and say, you know what, I hear what you're saying, that the stigma is that masturbation is bad. So don't consider it masturbation. You're just readying yourself so that when you and your husband are together, you can maybe achieve orgasm simultaneously. Because, like C4 said, it's super difficult to do.
Yeah.
But the more you learn your body, maybe the timing is going to get better and better. So
curb your
less than that.
Just be there for them.
Self-exploration helps stop cancer and detecting things like that. So it's good to check your body.
Spoken like a true socialite of mine. Why change their thought process when you can just curb it? just give it a little bit of a curve.
That's true, right? It's not masturbation when you're just preparing yourself for marriage.
Don't get them to make the right turn. Just like a soft curve.
Just adjust the roadway so it turns.
That is not something that would work.
It just depends on how you word it. You just got to be a salesman, Sarah. A salesman of sex, and that's who we have here on the talk show with us.
All right. We have now reached...
Thanks so much, you guys.
An hour and 40 minutes.
Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I would like to really thank...
I had no idea it had been that long. I had no idea that we talked that long, but thank you so much.
Would
that was
love
super
to
awesome.
Thank you, Rujholla, for being on. You have been fantastic. I am sorry to everyone out there in cyberspace on the podcast or live who is watching now that you had nothing better to do. But I am so happy you spent it with us here. We had a great time. I am C4. Really beside me, Sarah Vike. Further down's Insanieac. Below us is the Great Grease Goblin. Sir Jeremy will be here next time with special guest Rujholla, and we are the Villains of the Villains Talk Show. We do shows 9 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays and Sundays. We do 2-shot Wednesdays, and we do talk show Wednesdays and 2-shot Sundays. Catch us Sunday for the 2-shot.
Check out the social medias and all that fun stuff.
Check out the
Patreon. We want to say thanks out to For the Wheel for being a Patreon.
Our only patron. We'd like to thank our only patron.
Be sure to be a minion and support if you feel like it today. Check out our Patreon link and all the other social media.
If you enjoy,
and also thank the Buzzsprout.
If you want to. I was gonna say, if you also want to, start your own podcast like we do, and perhaps even be on ours, or make some weird rivalry thing. You want to make the Heroes Talk Show? Start with Buzzsprout. Start it today. We'll support you, and it's a wonderful place, and you can do it for free. So why not check it out?
Our YouTube is After Good. Our Twitch is on screen. It is C4 a person. If you want to follow us there, or if you're listening on the podcast, just click that follow button, and we'll see you guys next week. That was the show!
Night, everybody!
Wonderful.
Yeah!
All of the people.